So Obi-Wan leaked today that charge time is going to be less than 30 minutes on the Switch. And while that's great, I don't think that's the complete picture. And I'm going to explain that to you guys here. I think there's some stuff being left out, whether it be by him or just from his source. Honestly, I have a feeling a lot of people, if they do actually have the Switch, are excited and they may be doing like hyperbole or something over the top. I do think you would get a significant charge out of 30 minutes, but you probably wouldn't get the entire battery being charged in 30 minutes. Now, I'll kind of show you guys here a couple different examples. Honestly, the biggest example I could think of is my phone, because my phone does have USB-C quick charging enabled, and I can charge my entire phone from 0 to 100. Takes a little over an hour. However, going from 0 to 60 takes like 20 minutes, not even. And that's probably what they're talking about with the Switch. So here's a little graph, and this is from over at AnandTech. They actually did a full review on the Pixel C, and we've talked about the Pixel C a little bit. It's kind of the closest thing we have to the Switch right now because it is using a Tegra processor, and if you put Pascal and Maxwell argument to the side for a minute, you'll at least see that it is using an X1. It's a Tegra. Again, it's as close as we get right now. So what they did was they took the Pixel C, of course, and they plugged it in, charged it, and measured the wattage and how long it takes for it to charge, and you'll see an interesting trend here with this. Also, I wouldn't worry too much about how long it says it takes to charge, only because this is a massive battery in this device. Even at what we think to be the Switch's best at close to 5,000 milliamps, this is still nearly twice the size of that in terms of battery capacity. So put that to the side also. You'll see at the bottom there'll be minutes and how long it takes to charge. I don't think the Switch will take this long to charge, but just keep that in mind. So you'll see this chart. It looks like, it's pulling its max amount of wattage, essentially input power, most of the time, but then towards the end, near the 90% mark, it drops significantly. And that's what happens with these chargers. Now this Pixel C is using a pretty solid quick charge method and everything through USB-C, but it when you get to the end of the battery when it's charging, you just cannot keep pushing that input power, that wattage into it, because obviously it's filled up most of the battery, and it becomes dangerous if you get towards the end of that battery's capacity and you're still jamming 11 watts through. It's not going to be a good thing for that battery. It could potentially damage it. I'm not saying it's going to make it explode, although I guess it could. It's not going to make it explode, but it would damage that battery's internals, could make it so that the charge time starts to significantly drop off over time. So what happens is they're basically the chip that actually controls and talks to your USB power brick and everything. The USB pulls power through as it needs. A long time ago, we didn't have this. So if you plugged something into a device that it was too much power, you'd hear that pop, you'd smell burning, and that's because the device just could not handle the current. Nowadays, obviously, we're running through USB. There are chips that control power flow, which is nice. And in this case, it slows down the current draw significantly when you get towards the end of that battery's capacity. In my experiences, this usually happens close to the 80% mark, at least on my phone it does. It does not take long at all for my phone to go from 0 to like I said, 60. After 60%, 70%, you start to take longer. So I could plug my phone in, and like I said, in no time, it's like 20 minutes, I'll be right against the 60% mark. And that's great, because if you get in a bind and you want to just charge your phone like on a lunch break or something because it's like dead, that's awesome, because I can still get most of the day out of a 60% charge. Again, I'm not on my phone a lot, but if I was in a bind, lunchtime or something, I need to charge it from 0%. Maybe I forgot to charge it the night before. Yeah, that'd be enough to get me through the rest of the day, at least till I get home to charge it the rest of the way. So I think what's happening here is he's saying it takes 30 minutes to charge it. What he's really saying, I think, is it's 30 minutes to charge it from 0% to an acceptable level, whether that be 60 or 70%, but you'd be able to get so many hours out of that. We still don't know how long the system's going to get in terms of battery life. We're hoping it's 5 hours. If it's 5 hours and you get 60% charge, that would probably give you, obviously, 2.5, maybe 3 hours of actual gameplay, and that's, to some people, that's enough. You give half an hour to charge it, you get 3 hours back. That seems good. It's also worth noting it's probably not a good thing if it can charge from 0 to 130 minutes. That means the battery is very small, like very, very small. The other thing you got to keep in mind, you cannot push that much power through without worrying about heat at that point. Let's say it pushes some crazy amount of power through. Let's say it pushes like 20 something watts, which is insane, through to the battery. First off, the battery would probably be in trouble at that point, but it would need to cool it, because when you have that much wattage coming through, it's going to generate heat. And that's a lot of times what happens as well with these. It just cannot pull that much power through without having to cool it in some way. This other chart you're seeing here shows just charge time from 0 to 100% in hours for a lot of the leading devices that were at the time with the Pixel C. You see like the Air 2, the iPhone 6s, the Galaxy Note 5, and you'll see most of these do take at least 2 hours to charge for the most part. And like the Note 5 has a 3000 milliamp battery. Now I don't think the Switch will have that. I think it'll be slightly larger. Hopefully it'll hopefully be larger. I would expect it to be closer to 4000 milliamps, hopefully. I don't know for sure, though. None of this, again, guys, is set in stone. What he said today makes sense to me anyway, but to an extent. Like I said, it's not going to charge 0 to 100, maybe 0 to 60. And if it did charge 0 to 100, we have some problems. That battery is very small, like very small. But again, take it with a grain of salt, guys. We'll know next. Well, that's the thing. We won't know. We probably won't know next week how long the battery actually lasts. I don't think that's something they want to touch on, because I don't think the battery life is going to be anything to brag about. It would have, if they were going to brag about it, it would have to be like 8 hours. You know, something crazy. I think the battery life will be 5 hours or under, and I do think you can charge a good portion of that in 30 minutes, but not the whole thing. That's honestly, if you look at every device out now, every flagship device that you pay $500-600 for it, none of them can charge that fast. None of them. Not from 0 to 100. So again, I think he's saying 0 to 60%, 30 minutes, go play for 3 hours, come back, or when you get home, charge it overnight, that whole thing. So yes, guys, this is kind of a quick video. Like I said, I saw the leak. I thought I would just try to clarify, because people were sending me messages asking about it. So, you know, it's a cool leak. Do I think it's right? Yeah, I do, actually. It makes sense. It does. I think this was something that could have been probably speculated about and figured out, but it's good to hear that he, I guess, heard from an inside source. Great. Again, it's a rumor. Don't take it 100%. But guys, I will see you. I'm probably going to try to do some streaming tonight, hopefully. So I will probably see you guys tonight.